Working our way around, remember I want to put sliding glass door walls in the kitchen or the breakfast nook area. And I have two windows over here, but I really don't know exactly what that size could be because I need to put the fireplace in first. So we'll go jump all the way over here to the stairs. So let's grab this section now. Remember, I like to just use two sections and move them around. That's entirely up to your preference. But I find if I have a lot more sections cuts in here, then I have a lot more things, tabs up here, and it just becomes, I would say maybe a little confusing, but I'm not sure which one I want. So this way I have two sections. One goes through it vertically, one goes through the house horizontally, and I can move them around to see what I want to see. So what am I looking at now? I'm looking at the stairs. There's my landing. There's my stairs. The second floor doesn't go through that. This is open. So this landing, the opening is from the landing up to the second floor ceiling. Let's see if that makes a little bit more sense if we look at the, yeah, see, looking at the 3D, we can see that the landing goes all the way up to the ceiling here. So as you're walking up the stairs, maybe this will help a little bit too. Let's pull this over here. I'm going to flip it and then go to that view. And so when we're looking at the stairs, you can see that from the landing all the way up to the ceiling, I can put windows in there. And now I can also see that this wall needs to line up all the way up, and it doesn't. When I have a wall like that, it's back here. So let's see. I need to really break this wall. So I'll come up here and split with a gap. I'll split this element right here. And then I'm going to use the match properties. And use the match properties and say that I want to match this, the properties of this wall, with the properties of this wall. Let's see what happens. There we go. So I've changed that. Now this wall is flush all the way up. So I'm going to put my window in from the landing, above the landing all the way up here, so I can have some pretty nice window heights there. If we go back to this section, you can see now it's flush. And I'm going to probably have to do the same thing to this wall over here at some point in time. I'll have to come back and fix that. But for right now, I just want to put my I have the windows in here, but that's going down into the basement. So let's duplicate that, create similar, and we'll just put them up here. And let's make these windows 6 feet tall. So I'll edit this type, I'll duplicate it. I'm going to make them 6 feet tall and get rid of the 2 that Revit put in there automatically. And then change this height to 6 feet tall and say, okay. Well, I made them 6 feet wide, which is fine because I think that's a good width there. So edit the type, duplicate it. So I'll make it 6 by 6. 6 feet high by 6 feet wide. Let's get rid of that little inch thing there and get rid of the 2 and say, okay. So now that's 6 feet wide. I'm going to make it 6 feet high as well. And say, okay. So you can see even when I make a mistake, it's not that difficult to modify it. And let's say, okay, and see what we have. Oh, look at that. So I am going to maybe let's make it 2 feet off of the landing. So I'm going to put in a dimension line here. I'm going to say, here's my landing, and here's the bottom of my window. Right now it's 5 feet. I'm going to click on that window and change it to 2 feet. So the sill height relative to the landing will now be, okay. And then let's see, do I want to put a transom or just copy? I'm going to just copy these up. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this guy right on top of it. I'm just going to stack 2 more casements on top of this guy. Okay, that looks good. How high can I make it? Well, how high are my windows on I want this, the top of this to line up with the top of my windows on the 2nd floor. So if we go over to one of the elevations, that's pretty low. I should maybe raise that up another foot, I think. Yeah, that's going to be let's move this level. I'm just changing the level now is all I'm doing. So I'm going to move that up to here. That's really where the top of the window should be. And that's 19 foot 10 3/4. So if I go back to my section, if I had my levels in there, I'd be able to see where they are, but I know that it lines up right here. So I can just draw an annotate detail line, and I can come from here across to here. And I have a reference line in there that I can just measure now and say that I want this window to be this tall. I'm going to snap to that reference line that I put in there, and it's 3 feet 5 and 17/32. Control C to copy it. Then I'm going to click on that, edit the type, duplicate it, and I'm giving it a height now, so I'm going to Control V to paste the height in there, and then I'll come over here for the height. And Control V, paste that into there as well. Revit will change the height of the window. I might have to modify it. No, everything looks good. So now I have a nice, and at some point in time, I'll take this railing out. We need a railing on the inside, but we don't need it on the outside. So I might as well delete it now. I'm going around fine tuning things. So now there, I have my next window in there. It's in the stairwell. It looks really good. I'm happy with that. I look at it in section. That's what I'm going to see when I'm standing at the landing, or looking actually from the foyer when I'm looking up the stairs. I will see that. And I didn't delete the railing. I'm going to worry about that later, but you can see the stairs. So even when I'm standing here, down here on the 1st floor, and I look up, that's what I will see. So that looks pretty good. And then I'll have something downstairs too. But we're working our way around the 1st floor and the landing of the stairwell. So that looks good. Stop here and let you work your way around your house and keep adding in more and more windows. But really, it's just a step-by-step process. Once you know how to do it, it becomes much easier. We'll work our way around. By the time we get around the 2nd floor, you all should be very well versed in putting in windows and modifying them to satisfy whatever size requirements you have.